Hey everybody, thanks for listening to the El Toro's podcast, exclusively now on Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Here, let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on things like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can also make money from your podcast, which is always a plus, with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast right at your fingertips and in one place. I can't believe it took me this long to switch over to Anchor.fm, but I couldn't be happier now. So, get yourself started and download the free Anchor app now, or go to Anchor.fm to get started.
Finest professional wrestling from the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic region, Capital Wrestling.
Welcome everybody to episode 3 of the Capital Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host Sean O'Brien. You can find us on Twitter at Capital Wrestling without the G. You can find me on Twitter at Sean Neutron. For past episodes, tickets, and Capital Wrestling merchandise, go to capitalwrestling.weebly.com. Also there you can look at the stacked card they have coming up at Jersey City and Cathedral Hall for March 25th for their initial event. The last few weeks I've been doing double shots. I've had John Kerman and Jeff Cannonball on to hype their matchup last week. And this week I'm going to have Leon St. Giovanni on a little bit later on. And also next week we'll have Preston Quinn. But this week we have 66.6% of the initial three-way dance main event. And with that, we're going to get to the 1% that matters, the champion of the 1%, hailing from 3 gated communities, Logan Laroux. How's it going, Logan?
Hey, Logan Easton Laroux. You know, 3 gated communities. I'm a gated community inside of a gate, surrounded by a gate.
Yeah, but what you been up to, man?
What have I been up to? I just finished with a CrossFit workout and doing some cardio.
Mm-hmm.
I have been training endlessly for this main event of Capital Pro Wrestling's debut show, where I intend to beat my opponents, Leon St. Giovanni and the Pain Train, Preston Quinn.
And how do you think that that CrossFit workout, how does that help you?
Well, it puts me in much better shape than the man boobs Preston Quinn, and then Leon St. Giovanni, he looks like he could use quite a bit of muscle mass underneath his flips and rolls and such.
Do you have a size advantage on Leon?
Do I have a size advantage on Leon? I think I have a size advantage on both of them.
Oh, right.
Quinn's just a little bit taller.
Yeah, now I think both of you and Preston can both cut quite a promo. But you guys are, part of the first main event for Capital Wrestling. What do you think you bring to the table?
What do I bring to the table? Well, let me start by talking about what my opponent brings to the table. Preston Quinn is known as the Pain Train. He hits you like a Mack truck, but it's funny because when I hit you, it's a lot more like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, something with a little class, a little handling. Preston Quinn, he's a heck of a competitor. He's a tough guy. He's a big man, but I'm smarter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of hard to teach intelligence. Leon St. Giovanni, I've been following him. I've been watching him. He can flip. He's pretty acrobatic. Pretty smart, too. I question his style. I question his veteran instinct. And I don't question if he can beat me, because I know he cannot.
Definitely going to, when the 3 of you get inside the ring, what kind of match can fans expect?
What kind of match can fans expect? Well, Capital Wrestling came to 3 of us for the main event because they knew not only could we put on a great competitive effort, all 3 of us combined, but it would be a killer main event. It would show the world what Capital Wrestling is all about, between the power, the finesse, the moves, the story. Everything that we bring to the table is going to come to a head in that triple threat match, that 3-way dance. And 3-way dances kind of have a history of showing on kind of crossing the line, putting a promotion over as something great. ECW, the famous Sabu, Terry Funk and Shane Douglas 3-way. Nova Pro Wrestling had another 3-way on their debut show that I was a part of with me, Tim Donk, and the original player from the Himalayas, Sanjay Dutt.
I've heard comparisons between you and Shane Douglas before. Do you think they ring true?
No, because if you look at Shane Douglas' face, it's covered with pockmarks and bad hair decisions. I've heard those comparisons too. There's things I like about Shane Douglas. There's things I haven't liked
Mm-hmm. And what was that experience like?
What was that experience like? It was interesting. He cut a promo. I think he was so in the moment that he forgot me and my partner Alexander James's name, but he did his best to manage us.
You know, and the champion of the 1%, you hail from, you know, Northern Virginia. Where'd that moniker come from?
Where'd that moniker come from? Well, I've always been a champion. I've always come from wealth. I had the best wrestling training my father could afford at Kind of Pro Wrestling. One of my trainers is also on the Capital Pro debut show that's in John Furman. We started in Manassas, Virginia. I started in 2007 when I was 16 years old, and John Furman did all he could to harness my athletic abilities and make the champion that I am today.
And you guys faced each other last year in Nova Pro. How would you think the student did against the teacher?
The student beat the teacher, as could be expected, but I think that match was fantastic. I believe that's on, I might be wrong, but I think it's the Nova Pro One Crazy Summer event.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's right or not.
I believe so. Yeah, that was the one with Cedric Alexander.
Yeah, I think it was, I want to say Chet Sterling and Cedric Alexander was the main event of that show. Me and John Furman opened that show, and it's actually, I had a lot of matches last year, a lot with Sandre that I was really proud of, but I think my favorite match I had last year is actually the one that me and John Furman had at Nova Pro. It was just a real quick, intense, hard-hitting matchup. Yeah, I always got along really well with John Furman, and I felt like just kind of basically 10 years of friendship and mentorship coming to a head in that matchup, and I'm really proud of it. And if there's a way people can see it, I think it's on streaming. You can buy the DVD or whatever. I really hope people seek that out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an awesome show, that Nova Pro One Crazy Summer. I think it's one of the best shows they put on, and I think typically they do have a pretty stellar product.
Yeah, I mean, you were 6-2 with them last year, and 1-1 so far. You mentioned Sanjay and John and yourself. You know, you guys kind of, you know, as the Nova Pro products, you know, coming from the Northern Virginia area, you guys are like the foundation for the promotion.
Yeah, I would say so. I think the three of us are kind of like the bedrock of Nova Pro. Obviously, the main event, generally me, but Sanjay squeaks his way in there sometimes.
And how do you feel that, you know, you had a feud with Sanjay last year. How do you feel that helped elevate you?
I learned a lot in that feud. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about Sanjay. I learned about wrestling in general with that feud. I was really I don't think we had a bad match in the series that we had. I did things that I probably wouldn't have done against any other opponent, such as putting a man through thumbtacks and myself in me and Sanjay's cage match, or taking a prosthetic leg off of a veteran, which is something I don't think me or anyone in my family ever would have foreseen as part of my life. But here I am, whatever, at 6-2 as of last year, possibly thanks to thumbtacks and veterans prosthetic leg.
That's quite the resume. But you know, you had singles match success, but also you had, you know, there's about a few tag team matches you were successful in, and in the past you were successful with a long title reign in Chikara. How does you know?
That's actually a mistake. I am not Race Jackson. I get that a lot. He looks a lot like me. He's a pretty good-looking kid.
Oh, okay.
That's not me.
Oh, different. Okay, cool. Maybe a brother from another mother.
Yeah, although you can check out a lot of Race Jackson's matches on Chikaratopia if you wish to. He was in a great tag team called NRG, who held the Campeonato de Pareja, the tag team championships, for about a year, and defended them in the UK.
Mm-hmm. What is the biggest pros and cons from tagging to going to singles?
I like this, and I think tag team wrestling is an art, and depending on your partner, depending on your opponents, there's a different storytelling and strategy you have to have in a tag team match than in a singles match. Personally, I prefer a singles match because I feel like success or failure is all dependent on me as opposed to three other people potentially.
Mm-hmm.
I do think, though, unfortunately, in the independent scene, there's a lot of questionable tag teams. There's a lot of people who don't have matching gear, or there's just kind of two guys thrown together, and they never seem to be on the same page, and it's just like tag in, I'll have a singles match, tag in, I'll have a singles match. And I don't think that's not the point of tag team wrestling. If you get the history of wrestling, tag team used to be almost like the TLC, the big stipulation gimmick match that you could advertise on a poster. And I think with promoters trying to get as many bodies on shows and stuff, it's really gotten watered down from the art of what it should be.
No, I totally agree there, and I also, that's been a pet peeve of mine where I watch two guys who aren't matching gear whatsoever, and there's no theme, and no camaraderie.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of things that I think if you're on the tag team for potentially more than one show, I think you guys got to look like a tag team, you got to act and work like a tag team. The keyword is team there, it's not two guys.
No, exactly. I've seen that before too, where and WWE likes to do it, and they'll mash two guys together, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. But I do like to see a little uniformity with my tag teams. But there's another art that you're really good at. Obviously, is the promo. So when you're given time to cut a promo, where does that ability come from?
I don't really know. I've always been a good writer, but I've never written any of my promos. Just kind of, I guess, practice in some ways when I was training with John Kerman. Not that he's a particularly good promo, you can tell him I said that. But we did do a promo class every Thursday. During my training, I was driving down from the Great Falls area to Manassas every day and with Northern Virginia traffic. So it was about an hour drive.
Brutal.
My senior year of high school, 5 days a week, and I was working part-time and a full-time student. And the first third of the year, I was playing football as well. So it was pretty rough. But, on those 45-minute drives, there's all the time there. Just in my head, I'd be talking. I'd be talking, well, who's on Raw tonight? Who would if I was to wrestle Triple H, what would I say to Triple H? What would I say to the people after I wrestled Triple H? Stuff like that. To work on your promo abilities. I don't think there's any real excuse in wrestling to be bad at promos, because if you can talk, you can cut a promo and you can practice a promo. You don't need a ring. You don't need 3 weights. You don't need anything except your mouth to work on that. Yeah,
I mean, it all requires a little bit of time to work on it, but that should not be something hard to come by. As a professional wrestler. But you mentioned you played football.
Yeah, I played football and lacrosse at Oakland High School.
And how did those sports kind of translate at all to wrestling in terms of conditioning or anything?
Yeah, I think football especially really helped me develop my mental toughness. I would say Logan Easton Laroux kind of came a long way as I played lacrosse. They kind of developed a character. We used to play a lot of schools that were prep schools and boarding schools, and seeing these characters that were on these teams kind of gave me some inspiration for who I wanted to be as the champion of the 1%. Football, though, I mean, it definitely gave me my work ethic. I can't say I was particularly that good at football, and neither of those sports were ever anything I was super passionate about. Football, I really kind of saw as a means towards wrestling, because, watching Raw growing up, you'd always hear JR talk about this guy played college football at blah, 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 or whatever. I mean, I enjoy football, but it's never been an obsession the way wrestling is.
Yeah, I guess it becomes more of a passion thing for the wrestling as opposed to football. How did Capital Wrestling approach you, and how did that start out with coming onto the roster?
I believe Marcus King Kong Dowling approached me about it, asking just if I was open for a date, and telling me it was in Jersey City. Then I got in touch with Matthew Ryan, who talked to me more, and we're going to come stay on March 25th in Jersey City and blow the roof off the place. And I think the fans will be treated to an awesome show and a spectacular main event.
What are your thoughts on the roster? You guys have people like Rude Boy Riley. You got Brutal Bob Evans. All three of you in the main event, as well as John Kerman, Jeff Cannonball. What's your thought as the roster as a whole?
I think the roster as a whole is really strong, and I think it's cool. You've seen up and down the East Coast. When I first started wrestling in 2007, even probably until I want to say 4 to 5 years ago, you pretty much just see local shows. Like Northeastern guys, which I consider basically a Philly and northeast of us, that kind of stuck to their own shows. It'd be like the Philly area, the New York area, the New England area. And now, you're seeing a lot of guys hop in cars and really putting in the miles trying to get better. Because the Virginia area, there's so many guys that just stay in the same area. And, there's plenty of times to work, but how good can you really be if you're not traveling? And you look at this roster at Capital Pro Wrestling, or if you look at Nova Pro Wrestling's roster, and it's all these people who are traveling, and they're traveling to better themselves, but in bettering themselves, they're also making the show so much better because there's such different styles. Like John Kerman, Jeff Cannonball, that's an awesome matchup, man. Those are two guys, completely different styles, and who doesn't love that styles clash type of matchup? I think our main event was that triple threat match, I bring something different to the table than Leon St. Giovanni does, and Preston Quinn brings something totally different than either of us do. And I mean, that's, to me, that's the art of wrestling. Is like I'm painting with oil, you're painting with watercolor, the other guy's painting with acrylics, and together you're making awesome artwork.
Yeah, you mentioned the guys from different areas. That's what making up a show like it with Nova Pro. You guys like Brandon Day. You guys have from CWF. So all sorts of different styles, different areas help converge to make one hell of a product. And that, I see the same thing happening with Capital Wrestling.
Yeah, and they're popping up all over. And I think I take it upon myself. I hope a lot of the other roster members of both these organizations take it upon themselves. There's a lot of competition in wrestling right now, and it's our job to make it as good, make our companies and rosters as strong as they can be.
Exactly. And but how do you feel like Jersey's quite different from Virginia. So how do you feel the champion of the 1% when you get to Jersey? Is there gonna be a different feeling at all, or any nerves, or?
New Jersey, the armpit of the United States of America.
I guess you're gonna bring the Degree deodorant.
I would do more than bring Degree deodorant. I have disinfectant to bring, but New Jersey, I think I would rather go to the Midwest than New Jersey. New Jersey is just trash. It's trash people. It's an ugly state. Nobody wants to go there. How many colleges are there? One? There's a reason for that. How many people are educated in New Jersey? 3? There's a reason for that. I'd like to bring a touch of class to New Jersey. Maybe gentrify it just a little bit. We'll see what happens.
And it's also a very unique location where the event's going to be held at, Cathedral Hall. What are your thoughts on that venue?
It looks like a beautiful building. I'd like to buy it.
So I guess one day it'll be renamed Logan Easton Laroux Center.
Possibly.
So we discussed the main event, we discussed the card, the roster, your beginnings with Capital Wrestling. Lately there's a lot of tournament talk when it comes to NCAA tournament, but there's another tournament coming up, and it's going to be with Nova Pro Wrestling, the Commonwealth Cup.
Yeah.
What are your general thoughts on that field and your chances in that tournament?
My chances on that tournament, you can write it down here. I will win that tournament. That cup, though, has brought a ton of outstanding talent. The Commonwealth Cup, as of right now, I believe there's 8 participants announced. My good friend Bobby Shields will probably come in second, and then I'll beat him in the finale of it. But you have Hot Sauce Tracy Williams. You have currently undefeated, soon to be defeated by Logan Easton Laroux, Eric Royal. You have Chet Sterling, who seems to continue to elude me, mostly due to questionable officiating. You have the godfather of Nova Pro, Sandra Dutt. You have Donovan Jijak. You have, I don't know who else on this, Alexander Daniels, who had a killer showing at the last Nova Pro show.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's everybody. I might be wrong. As of right now, that's 8 quality competitors, 8 guys that I think you could see winning that tournament. I think I will win it because I am the franchise. I am the face of Nova Pro, and who else should hold the cup for me? But I think come April, that's going to be a killer tournament that people are talking about, and the buzz from Nova Pro is only going to grow due to the awesome matches within that tournament.
You just got a huge win over Joey Janela. What was that like for you?
Right. What was that like? It was awesome. I met Joey Janela a few years ago, and I thought his character was really cool. I'm a huge fan of Drive with Ryan Gosling, and I see a lot of that character, the driver named Joey Janela. I thought we had a pretty good matchup, and we were, I think, the 10th match on an 11-match show, and I don't think people were sitting on their hands too often during it. So I think that's a pretty major accomplishment.
Yeah, I definitely knew it was going to be a styles clash of sorts with both of you, both very dynamic in different ways. And I guess, 2017, we have Capital Wrestling coming up, big thing. What are some of your goals in 2017?
2017 goals? I would like to just keep getting my name out there. I would like to add some more international states to my resume. I would really like to go to Japan. I don't know how realistic that is at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully in the future we will see if that happens. I'd like to have another shot at WWE as well. I've had a tryout match with them before, booked as an extra and such. It's been a few years though, and I'd like another opportunity. I think I've grown a lot as a performer since the last time I was there.
Mm-hmm. And do you hope to be, with I think about the year's worth of material that Capital Wrestling has in terms of, big picture thinking in their roster, do you hope to be a long-term viable franchise for Capital Wrestling?
Yeah, absolutely. You put me in the main event, I'm going to be the one everyone's going to know I'm talking about. I don't see any way you couldn't put me in the next main event and have me be the face of Capital Wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe they're going to be aiming for about a month later for another event. So I think down the line, you could definitely be a franchise for them, in my opinion.
Thank you.
And is there anything else that fans should be aware of coming up for you on your agenda?
Anything coming up? We have Nova Pro. The Commonwealth Cup is April 13th, I think. And then that might be wrong. So much to check on that. TCW, Primal Conflict Wrestling, is coming to Leesburg, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
April 8th, I believe. Capital Wrestling, obviously, on March 25th. You can see that Race Jackson fellow in Orlando, Florida on March 31st, possibly, for Chikara. Other than that, I got a couple more dates that I can't think of off the top of my head. But if you follow me on Twitter or Facebook, you might be able to see those.
And what is your Twitter handle for the fans?
Race Jackson's Twitter handle. He's not me. He looks a lot like me.
Oh, that's right. Okay, gotcha.
YNH Race Jackson. Jackson with an X. YNH stands for Young and Handsome.
So why does Logan Easton Laroux not have a Twitter account?
Logan Easton Laroux is not a huge fan of social media.
That makes sense. That way you don't get yourself in trouble.
Yeah. I don't want the National Enquirer to talk about me any more than they already do.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on to the show and helping, hype up the main event and discuss the roster and all that. So, thanks for your time, Logan.
Thank you, Sean O'Brien of the Squared Circle Soundoff.
Oh, yeah, that's my other venture. But after this, we're gonna take a quick break, and then we're going to talk to Leon St. Giovanni.
Old School Wrestling comes to the New York area on Saturday night, March 25th, when Capital Wrestling presents its debut event at Cathedral Hall in Jersey City. In action, you will see a three-way dance, the crowning of the first ever Capital Wrestling Tag Team Champions, Rude Boy Riley, and so much more. Order your tickets now, online at capitallive.eventbrite.com. Capital Wrestling, old school wrestling for the modern fan.
Welcome back, everybody, to episode 3 of the Capital Wrestling Podcast. I just want to thank Logan Easton Laroux for coming on earlier and hyping up the three-way dance. And part of that three-way dance, we're going to have two other guys, obviously. Next week, we'll have Preston, the Pain Train Quinn. But right now, we're going to get to the third guy in the three-way dance. And you might know him from the Monster Factory, MFPW, the Ring of Honor Dojo, and MCW. He hails from Jersey. He is the Human Rocket, LSG, Leon St. Giovanni.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Thanks for making the time for us.
Yeah, no problem.
So what you been up to lately, man?
Man, just training a lot. We've had some big events. We just got done with Manhattan Mayhem. The Ring of Honor pay-per-view, 15th anniversary was pretty successful. The Monster Factory has been running twice a month and starting to gear up to get ready for Capital Wrestling.
As we get ready for Capital Wrestling, you're one of their premier signings. How did that all come about?
Well, I've known Matthew Ryan for a long, long time, and I think he saw that I was starting to get some buzz, and I think he realized that it was finally time to pull the trigger and get me signed up.
Mm-hmm.
So it was definitely an opportunity I wanted to jump on, especially since it was the inaugural show for a brand new company that was very promising, and it's in my home state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I couldn't say no to that. That's
almost like a home field advantage.
Yeah, definitely.
And you're known for your innovative style. On the top rope, such moves I saw on social media that day. You're doing the spiral tap. Where do you come up with these moves, or learn how to do them?
Well, when I first started my career, I don't think I was the smartest guy, and so I immediately tried to do a 450 splash, and that's the first high flying move that I attempted. And it caught on in the beginning of my career, and then I kind of stopped doing the high flying. But more recently, after joining the supersonic division, which is basically the cruiserweight division of the monster pack, I started to bring back some of the more acrobatic, maneuvers. So 450 splash. I do a lot of springboards. You can call me King of the Spring. I like to use the ropes. And now I'm working on my spiral tap. So I know it's not Preston Quinn's liking, but if I had to go off the top, I might have to take him out.
So you're just working on the accuracy of it right now?
Yeah. Yep. You're gonna get some height.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big guy, so it needs to be perfect to take him out.
No, that's totally, he does have that size advantage. And you and Logan Easton Laroux are, I guess, he might be a little bit bigger than you, but how do you think size will make a difference in this matchup?
I think it might play a big part if they team up on me. Mm-hmm. But I think it's pretty equal though, because I have what Preston doesn't have, and he has things that I don't have. But that's okay, because once he's tired and sluggish, that's when I take advantage. Mm. And I can hit him from every side of every corner of the ring, and that's where I have the advantage in this matchup.
So it sounds like you're conditioning, you're working on that. What kind of workouts or training are you doing to sharpen that?
Well, over at the Monster Factory, we do a lot of conditioning that is in line with the WWE tryout training. So I would say that our guys are probably the most conditioned guys on the Northeast, or maybe even across the country, mm-hmm. on the independents at this level. I'm very confident in myself in being able to handle not just one, but two guys in the ring, because I train like I play. Mm-hmm. Pretty confident in myself in that aspect.
So if you guys have to go for an hour, you can easily do it.
Well, yeah, I've done it recently with a guy by the name of Mikey Webb. Mm-hmm. In an Ironman match. He's from the North. He's from New England. Mm-hmm. So I know I've done it in the past, and I can do it again.
Was that your first time going that long?
Yeah. Yep. First time.
Did you surprise yourself with your ability to do so, or was it like as you expected from the training you've been doing?
Well, you never really know how you're going to feel. Mm-hmm. You don't know what the guy's going to do to you in that ring. You could take a bad shot to the stomach or to the head, and you're really out of it for most of the match. But I could say, I was surprised. I got through it, and actually by the end of the match, I thought I could have kept going for another hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So both Logan and Preston are going to need a lot of gas in that tank.
Oh, yeah. If you've seen the Ring of Honor style as well, you have to be very well conditioned to keep up with those guys, and I think I've got that covered right now. Oh, yeah.
That's a deep roster full of all sorts of talent, different styles, and that's what's going to make this three-way dance so fun to watch, is because there's three different styles coming into the match.
Yep, totally agree.
You guys are three of the premier parts of the roster. What are your thoughts on the rest of the Capital Wrestling roster?
It's very intriguing to be on the same roster with some of these guys. Riley is another one that has been wrestling about the same amount of time as I have. But the thing is, we had never really crossed paths. We've never wrestled on the same events. I see him, from afar. We're acquaintances, and I see that he's building himself up, and it's going to be interesting to just be on the same show with someone like him. And it's another tag team that I just came across, the Fellow Twins. Very talented. They're a great act, and I'm very pleased that they're going to be on the event. And Jeff Cannonball, actually, this is a guy that I just spoke to this weekend, mm-hmm. and we had a very good talk about the future, and he's very excited for this opportunity coming up at Capital Wrestling. That guy is a beast, and if I had to wrestle him, I'd have to do some extra training, and maybe thinking about practicing using some weapons. But you've got such an eclectic group of guys on the roster. I'm very excited to just be part of it.
Yeah, you've got young guys, you've got veterans, you got all sorts of possible dream matches in the future.
So many different styles as well.
Exactly, and it's all kind of like a melting pot under Capital Wrestling.
Yeah, that's why I'm totally stoked for this.
Competing in Ring of Honor, how has that deep roster helped you, and also on the independent scene, obviously? How has that helped you prepare for this big match in this show?
Well, when you're surrounded by that many talented individuals, at a Ring of Honor event, for example, or even when you train at the dojo, you really learn from the best. I mean, they say Ring of Honor is the best wrestling in the world, and I have to agree right now. The guys that I look up to, and guys like Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, these guys are premier athletes. Guys like Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian, they're guys that I get to watch and learn from every time I'm at a Ring of Honor event. Mm-hmm. And just being around them, being exposed to that environment, I feel like has made me even smarter. It's not just made me better in the ring, but just a smarter wrestler.
Yeah, and it's not all about athleticism. It's all about having that wrestling IQ.
Right, having the right timing and having taking advantage of your opponent at certain times in the match. Something that somebody who's brand new to professional wrestling wouldn't understand, and that's where they slip up. But I've been around for 6 years now. I think I've got a plethora of knowledge, you know. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I've been around now, so I think being in that environment in Ring of Honor is definitely going to help me out with this match.
And you've seen success also as part of Coast to Coast with Shaheem Ali. What's the biggest difference going it alone as a single star, or the pros and cons of that?
With a tag team, you've got someone on your back, and Shaheem is one of my best friends, and I know if things get rough in the ring, he's got my back. He'll jump in and help out if needed, and that's a great feeling to have. Knowing that this is a triple threat, knowing that you have two guys coming after me, that's going to be a little tricky. I'm not going to have Shaheem by my side. He's not going to be at the event. It makes me have to focus even more, and I have to be even more careful. And I can't make any mistakes off the top rope. I can't mess up when I try these athletic maneuvers, because if one slip up and that's it, I've got two guys on me. Mm-hmm. So I have to be very, very careful and calculated with my approach.
We're going to come from a unique venue, Cathedral Hall in Jersey City. How will that affect the match being in such a unique venue?
Well, I don't think it's going to affect my wrestling so much, but I'd say the anticipation levels of wrestling in a building like that are super high. So if anything, it's going to drive me to be even more excited for the match. But when I get out there, when I get inside the ring, whatever's around me means nothing. Yeah. What's most important are the two guys in the ring with me, and my objective, and that is winning.
Do you feed off the atmosphere at all of the fans?
Oh yeah. I would like to say that I'm going to be the hometown guy here, because we've got two guys coming out of state, and hopefully this Jersey crowd gets behind me and they get behind the Human Rocket. And if if I hear those LSG chants, it's going to help a lot more. So hopefully they come out in droves and they get behind me. That'll definitely help.
Yeah, hopefully they're looking to pack that house. I've heard some of the capacity calculations, and I don't think we're going to be short on people in the venue.
Perfect. That's even better. Great to hear that.
Your style, obviously we've mentioned that it's very unique. You're up there on the high flying and you're quick, got cardio. Who do you model your style after the most, or are you just looking to carve out your own path?
Well, a guy that I really looked up to growing up was Austin Aries and AJ Styles, because I love that they're hybrid athletes. They can fly. They can strike real hard. They're great submission specialists. And I'd like to say I'm a hybrid athlete. I know a lot of people see my high-flying stuff, and they just assume that's all I can do. But I really pride myself on my ability to strike you from any position in the ring, whether it's off the top, in the middle rope, springing off, or just standing face-to-face. I can hit you with an elbow. I can back my hand. I can hit some vicious kicks. And these are things that I've learned from some of the guys growing up that I watched. And, and if need be, I can fly. But, I see Austin Aries patented heat-seeking missile through the bottom rope, and that's something that I'm adding to my arsenal. And some of the high-flying stuff that you see AJ Styles do off the top, the springboards, those are the guys I've modeled myself after. And hopefully I can utilize some of the things I've learned from those guys in this triple threat match, in this three-way dance.
Training at the Monster Factory, the Ring of Honor dojo, what are some of the similarities and the reasons why it's made you into the wrestler you are?
Well, they're two very different facilities, but for the big time. You know, the Ring of Honor Dojo is preparing students for Ring of Honor, and Monster Factory is preparing students for, you know, whatever big things, whatever big organizations there are in the world. So whether that's WWE or Impact Wrestling or Ring of Honor or even New Japan, both places, both schools, their intent is to make you the best wrestler possible for television, which is great. You don't get that at a lot of schools. I think a lot of schools are they're just not equipped with the right, I guess, connections and the right teachers. But I've been very, very fortunate that I can train at both of these facilities, and they're really preparing me for TV wrestling.
What would the final statement you'd have for both Preston and Logan heading into the matchup? What would you like to say to them?
Well, after hearing what both of them have said, there's plenty I have to say. So, I mean, Logan Laroux, not Laroux, Laroux, he wants to call New Jersey a dump, and that's okay because he's ignorant, and that's not surprising from the 1%. You know, it's time to teach him a lesson. You know, people from Jersey, we are the hardest working people in this country. We're diverse, we're different, we're hardworking, and we embrace diversity. And he's clearly not about that, and he doesn't understand. First off, I'm going to knock him out, show him what Jersey's all about. And then Preston Quinn, I know he thinks that old school is cool, and that's great. I respect that old school style. But times have changed. And if he's not ready for what I have to bring, then he's going to be knocked out, and he's going to be staring at the lights, staring at the cathedral ceiling at the end of the night.
So the gauntlet has been laid out by all three competitors. We've seen a lot of interaction on social media between all three of them, and it's fun to watch, honestly. Individually, what are some of your goals for 2017?
Well, immediate goals, definitely win the first main event for Capital Wrestling in this three-way dance. That's first one on the list. The one is to get some more exposure on Ring of Honor TV with my tag team partner Shaheem Ali, with our tag team Coast to Coast. We just wrestled the Young Bucks. It just aired this week, so check that out if you can on the Fight app. Definitely get more time in the ring with the veterans of Ring of Honor to prove ourselves. And a big thing coming up for me is the ECWA Super 8 tournament that I will be a part of in April. And that's another goal of mine, not only to be in it, but to take the whole thing and win it. And
I believe that's going to have Joey Janela, Leo Rush. Who else is in that tournament?
Timmy Loretton, Anthony Bennett from the Cruiserweight Classic, Zombie King, Brandon Scott from the Mid-Atlantic region, and I think maybe one other guy. I can't remember off the top of my head.
And if memory serves me correctly, I think that's the longest tenured 8-man tournament going on.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I think this is the 21st year.
Oh, wow.
Lots of history. This is something I followed as a kid, you know, so it's incredible. It's a great opportunity.
How can fans reach you? Via social media?
Okay, so I've got an Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. All you got to do is search Leon St. Giovanni, LeonStGiovanni, Leon St. Giovanni. Look up LSG. You can find me on YouTube, on Instagram, Twitter. Wouldn't be hard to find me at all. Come follow me and follow my journey. I'm going to be wrestling all over the country this year. I'm going to be kicking ass in Capital Wrestling. Follow the journey.
Yeah, and you're looking to be a part of their big picture, I assume?
Oh, yeah, for sure. If they'll have me, I'll be there.
Well, we want to thank you for coming on the Capital Wrestling Podcast, the 3rd episode. That was the Human Rocket, LSG, Leon St. Giovanni, from Ring of Honor, MCW, and the Monster Factory, MFPW. So thanks for coming on and making time for us.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's a blast, man. Maybe we'll get to do a live recording in Jersey City.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm down.
Excellent, man. After having such a stacked episode in the last 2 weeks, we're going to continue that next week, and we will be having Preston Quinn, the Pain Train, as well as Brutal Bob Evans to help continue to hype up March 25th. It's almost upon us. It's a hell of a card right now. If you look at it, go to capitalwrestling.weebly.com and just do a little rundown of it. We're going to have Rude Boy Riley versus Colossal Mike Law, the intergender champion of the world. We're going to have a Styles Clash matchup between Jeff Cannonball and John Kerman. We're going to have Ring of Honor's Tim Hughes and Bob Evans. And Bobby Shields and Sizzin Stan Styles will be on the card as well. Also, the North-South connection of Ryan Zane and Vinny Pacifico will be there. The New York Wrecking Crew with Ryan Shapiro versus the Fella Twins will be a tag team showcase. And playing at intermission will wrestling's best cover band, the Kings of the Ring. As we've mentioned it multiple times, we will be having the Old School Three-Way Dance to main event the first taping at Jersey City Cathedral Hall. It'll be the Human Rocket, Leon St. Giovanni, the Pain Train, Preston Quinn, and the champion of the 1%, Logan Easton Laroux. Now, if you want to listen to past episodes, go to capitalwrestling.weebly.com/podcast. You can also, on the website, find tickets, merchandise, the card for the show. It's changing every day. You can also follow us on Twitter at Capital Wrestling, without the G at the end. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean Neutron. And that's going to do it for this week. I want to thank, once again, Logan and Leon St. Giovanni for coming on. It was excellent to have them and get a little insight and hype up the main event. And as I said, next week we're going to have the Pain Train, Preston Quinn, and Brutal Bob Evans. It's going to be a pretty wisdom-filled episode. You can catch us here every Wednesday at 12 p.m. at capitalwrestling.weebly.com/podcast. See you guys next week. Thanks for listening.